Day 5 of the US Open saw two strong title contenders come close to biting the dust, while also setting up some mouthwatering fourth round affairs. I'll talk about this and much more here on Grand Slam Tennis News Today. The fourth round matchup we were all hoping for will happen as Iga Swiatek will take on Jelena Ostapenko for a spot in the last 8 at the US Open. Iga has actually never beaten Ostapenko in their 3 previous meetings. In fact, Jelena was the last person to defeat Swiatek before the pole went on that historic 37-match win streak in 2022. That meeting was in the Dubai second round, which Ostapenko took 4-6, 6-1, 7-6. Based on form here in New York, Iga looks in better shape, only losing 9 games thus far, including an 0-love demolition over her best friend Kaya Juvan. Iga, how are you going to do your own best friend like that? Just ruthless. Ostapenko, meanwhile, has been pushed to 3 sets in all of her matches thus far, beating Jasmine Paolini, Avenesian, and Bernarda Pera. I think both Iga and Jelena's pre-match quotes do a solid job at highlighting both players' strengths and weaknesses heading into this affair. When speaking of having to play a big ball striker like the Latvian, Swiatek said, "With Jelena, it's a little bit like one day she can play a perfect match and just put everything in, even though she's really risking, and the other day can be different. You never know what to expect, but I kind of accept that all these players, they're going to play the best tennis against me. I felt that a couple times already." Now, countless times, Jelena has lost early in majors to opponents that she should handle fine on paper, and I've always chalked those losses up to her perhaps not handling being the favorite that well. She confirmed my suspicions yesterday when she told the press, "It's of course easier to play when you're not the favorite, especially these last 3 matches that I played. I was the favorite. You have a little bit more extra pressure because you understand that everybody expects you to win. So maybe that's why it was a little bit like a roller coaster. But I think now I can play free because it's great to be in the 4th round. Just enjoy it. It's also not easy to be number 1 because everybody obviously wants to beat you. I will probably take advantage of that. I think if Ostapenko can find it within herself to play freely, but yet inside the lines, I think she has a solid shot at knocking down the pole. However, Iga will be ready for the challenge, and she would not want an 0-4 head-to-head record against her fellow Roland Garros champion. I picture Iga's overall solidness taking her through in a relatively tight 3-set affair. Last night, for the second time this tournament, Coco Gauff looked close to an unexpected exit when she was down a set and faced 5 break points in the second game of the second set. However, she pulled off another Houdini act, surviving that game and reeling off the last 10 games of the match to take down 32nd seed Elisa Mertens 3-6, 6-3, 6-love. Now, giving credit to Elisa, she played fearless tennis. She came out guns a-blazing and she really took it to Gauff, and I think a lot of that was because she played with house money essentially as she faced match point in her previous match against Danielle Collins. It was able to cruise through there in the 3rd set. Mertens herself was very aggressive against Coco and she was able to take advantage of Gauff's shorter shots. Once Coco started to step more closer to the baseline and started to take the ball, earlier and started to swing through her forehand and get her body weight going through the court more, she was able to then dictate more of the baseline exchanges. And then too, Coco's consultant, Brad Gilbert, said that she needed to match Mertens' intensity, and that made a big difference as once Gauff pumped herself up more and she got the crowd involved, it was even more of a wrap for her. Up next for Gauff is former world number 1 Caroline Wozniacki, who continues her incredible comeback, reaching the second week in New York after beating another comeback woman, Jen Brady, 4-6, 6-3, 6-1. Carol picked up her first top 20 win since 2018, the round prior, when she took down Petra Kvitova in straight sets. At first, I thought Coco should be pretty fine in this matchup, but then I remembered how the American always struggled against Simona Halep. She never won a set over the Romanian in their 4 meetings, and Carol's game is somewhat similar to Simo's. Now, considering some other factors, even though Gauff is 14 years younger than the Dane, there is a lot more riding on this for Coco, as all eyes on her to bring home that maiden slam. This is only Caroline's 3rd match in over 3 years. Her making the second week here is a win in itself. And then I also don't think the age difference will be a big factor in terms of Caroline being the older player and being more winded, as we know, Wozniacki has that reputation of being one of the most fittest players on tour, and we've seen it this tournament thus far as she just ran down so many different balls from heavy hitting opponents like Kvitova, and then of course Brady. I think that if Coco can be more aggressive and serve solid plus use the crowd to her advantage, I'd favor her to move through. Now things are a little bit less star-studded in the other fourth round matches on the women's side. We have Sorana Cirstea and Belinda Bencic go at it after Cirstea she got the big upset over Rybakina, beating the 4th seed 6-3, 6-7, 6-4. This is not really a big shocking upset as Cirstea has been playing the best tennis of her career this year and is always a dangerous opponent for the top player. She also beat Aryna Sabalenka in Miami. Now briefly talking about Rybakina, this will be a very disappointing loss for her. I honestly picked her to win this tournament because I felt that this year she was deserving of a slam due to how well she's played throughout the season, making the Australian Open final and winning 2 WTA 1000 titles. But, maybe she can salvage it, not even salvage it because it's been an amazing year, but maybe she can, I guess, justify the year with the WTA finals trophy at the end. Now moving on, of course, Cirstea, she plays Bencic, who took down Lin Zhu in 3 sets. To me though, 10th seed Karolina Muchova will be the big favorite to reach the semifinal here as she has yet to drop a set this tournament. She most recently eliminated Taylor Townsend and she now plays Chinese woman Wang Jingyu, where she'll be the heavy favorite. Now looking at the men's side, we actually have quite a few surprise players in the round of 16 thus far, as 2 qualifiers and a wild card make their debut slam second weeks. Now before I get into all that, I do have to talk about the somewhat near upset we witnessed at 1:30 in the morning. This morning. 32nd seed Laslo Djere came within points of defeating Novak Djokovic the last time they played, which was at their home tournament, the Serbia Open in 2022. Novak's champion mentality got him through the end there, but the close encounter showed that Djere had the game to challenge his country's best. We saw that plain as day last night on Arthur Ashe when Djere took a 2-0 lead over the second seed. Laslo came out and played probably the best tennis of his life, not only hanging with Djokovic from the ground but constantly out-hitting him in those exchanges. You can tell Djokovic was working hard and was fighting for his life as he was grunting hard, and not only grunting hard, but he was grunting hard early on in the match. When speaking about Djere's form, Djokovic said after the match, he was hitting his spot so well. Everything was in his strike zone. It was very difficult for me to find a solution. After dropping the second set, Djokovic, like he did at last year's Wimbledon Championships, when in the same position against Sinner, gave himself a pep talk in the bathroom mirror and was able to crack the code and find that solution. Novak was able to maintain better balance on his ground strokes, and he also aimed for greater depth and pace on his shots, which paid off. Djokovic was also able to hang in there and push Djere deep in his service games the first few games of the 3rd, 4th, and 5th sets, which made all the difference as Djokovic wore down his countryman's spirit with those clutch game wins and was able to cruise through for the most part in those final 3 sets. Djere did have an opportunity to get back into this match when he held a break point down 3-5 in the 5th when Novak served for it, but the 32nd seed netted a backhand after another lung-busting rally, and that was all she wrote. The victory marks Novak's 8th career 2-0 comeback and is his first at the Open since that iconic 2011 semifinal with Federer. Novak now faces Croatian qualifier Bona Gojo, who has dominated all 3 of his matches thus far in straight sets. A Djokovic loss could have given us a great opportunity at having an American reach the finals in that bottom half, but the task will be much more difficult now with Novak getting through such a tough match. Although he'd likely face Djokovic in the quarterfinals, Taylor Fritz has been rewarded with a dream draw thus far and he's taken full advantage. The top-ranked American hasn't dropped more than 5 games per match, crushing his lower-ranked opposition. So far in Flushing, Fritz has played Stevie Johnson, who's ranked 205th in the world, Juan Pablo Varillas, who is 74th in the world, qualifier Jakub Mensik, who is 206th, and then now he faces Dominic Stricker, who is 128th in the world. Stricker, who took out Tsitsipas in the second round, not only had to qualify for this tournament, but he's played back-to-back 5-set matches, so he'll be pretty much gassed in this one against Fritz. Meanwhile, we have a meeting between 2 American stars as Tommy Paul and Ben Shelton will play for the second time in a major this year, as the 2 met at this year's Australian Open semifinals. Paul took out Alejandro Davidovich Falconer in the 3rd round, while Shelton hit a 147-mile-per-hour ace in his win over Aslan Karatsev. Ben has looked far better this tournament than he has in the last few months, as he's less error-prone, but I still favor Tommy here as he is still the steadier player overall. Now, last year's breakout story, Frances Tiafoe, has reached his first Slam round of 16 this season with a solid 4-set win over Adrian Mannarino. He now plays wildcard Rinky Hijikata, who took down Chinese man Xi Jinping in 4 sets. That's all I have for my Day 5 US Open recap, and let me know in the comments who you're picking between Swiatek, Ostapenko, and Golf Wozniacki. Make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell so you're notified whenever I post my Day 6 recap. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all next time here on Grand Slam Tennis News Today.